So to reiterate, when you encounter a document and you think, I like the claim that is being made here, the only document we've gone over is document 1. And in that document, Zinn claims that Columbus was a mean guy. Now, in your essay, you'll probably say that a bit more scholarly than that. Basically, he was a bad guy. And you now need to find 2 pieces of historical evidence that shows that either he directly or the Spanish for whom he was sailing were cruel. Right? Find 2 pieces of evidence. That's your homework. Right? Any questions on how that's going to roll? We will get to more documents today. Are you okay? Yeah. Do you want to sit here? You're okay? This is not ideal. Okay, let's bring England into the picture. So Portugal's dominating, Spain is dominated. England wants to be a player. I am really I am, everyone. I am really, come on. Again. I'll fade away. No, you try. You know the talent show's in March. So if we really work hard.
I think we can pull it off.
I know. That enormous thing is Henri VIII. Henri VIII was the king of England, and Henri VIII had a problem. He kept marrying women who failed to produce him a son. Now, we know today that biology, guys, it's you. You're the dictator of your children's gender. You got two little competing things there. One's an X and one's a Y, and that determines the gender. But back then, it was her fault. It's always her fault. And so he had his first wife executed, and his second wife executed, and his third wife executed, and his fourth wife executed. And after a while, now Henri VIII has a boss. He has a boss. Who's his boss? Pope. And so Pope came to Henri and said, you know, Henry, maybe it's you. And Henry said, you're fired. Henry fired his boss. Now imagine that. Imagine I went to Miss Donnelly and said, you know, Shannon, it's not working. It's not working. So have your backs, packed up by the end of the day.
Let's test it.
She would say, no, I'm not going to do that.
I'll do it.
She's my boss. Anyway, that's what Henry did. And of course, the Pope said, you can't fire me, I'm your boss, but he did. And Henry VIII declared himself his own Pope. And he ordered everyone in England to become the members of the new church, with him as the head of his new church, the Church of England, with him as the lead person. And as such, he no longer has to answer to anyone. And now he's going to join the fray. He wants England to become a player. And let's get involved. Now, what I just told you was resisted by the Pope, and just so you know, from now and for the next couple of days, you need to know this, that the Pope is only as powerful as his generals' support. And he had 2 loyal attack dogs. The Pope had 2 loyal attack dogs, Spain and Portugal. They're loyal. France to a lesser extent. And so a series of wars ensued in Europe, religious-based wars. And basically the net result of that is England broke away from the Catholic Church. England broke away from the Catholic Church. Yes, dear.
What the new one, wasn't it called Protestant, right? Or
that's something else.
Okay.
So this started a wave of groups breaking away from their loyalty. Remember a few days ago I said the discovery of America was the beginning of the end of Pope as owner of Earth? And this is what I mean. When Henry saw that he had a chance to make England great, and he felt that the way to do this was to break away from being answerable to anyone. Well, he did it, and then later on, some of these nations broke away and formed the Protestant Church. Specifically, this is the Church of England. It's also known as the Anglican Church. Anyone in here happen to be Anglican? There's an Anglican church in Stillwater. It's right by Nelson's, the ice cream place. Right? That's an Anglican church. Right? Religiously, they're still Christian. They believe in Jesus and all that. But the basic difference is who's their top dog. For Catholics, it's the Pope. For Anglicans, it's the monarch of England. Which, by the way, who would that be today? The Queen Elizabeth. She is the head of the Anglican Church today. Finished. All right. And so England is going to become a play-up. And I have listed over there reasons why you, some schlup in Europe, why would you get on that boat and cross the Atlantic and head over to the Americas? Why would you do that? Okay, very good. England is poo-poo. Well said, put it exactly like that. I said it slightly differently. Well, one, what if you live in England and you don't want to become Anglican? What if you want to stay Catholic? Well, there's a boat. Go over there. You were kicked out of England. Or maybe you are in Spain and you're not Catholic. Get on a boat. Go over there. Okay? So that's that religious freedom thing. Yes, dear.
So if he made the church, was he like their religious symbol? Was he their pope?
Exactly. He was their pope. Or maybe you were just bored. Maybe you were bored. Does anyone know what this thing called primogeniture is? It's a term. Primogeniture. Primo. Does anyone know what primo means? Primo. First. That's right. Does anyone know what primogeniture is? If you were the firstborn son of a family in Europe, what?
Oh, you inherited whatever.
That's right. It's all yours. What if you were number 2?
Get on nothing.
Get on the boat.
Or you killed your brother.
Or you killed your family. Okay. And then maybe the biggest reason of all why European nations, especially England, became interested in the Americas, and that was money. Right? We talked about this yesterday. The chance to plant one of the 3 big things. Remember what they were? Sugar, tobacco, cotton. Yep. There's not room in Europe to grow this stuff, but there's room over there. All right. So let's create companies, businesses, whose job it is to grow sugar, cotton, tobacco. In other parts of the world, tea. You know that England, while they're colonizing the 13 colonies, they're also colonizing India, Australia, right? We're part of the picture. Okay? That's what this one means. Any questions there? Let's rock. I'm going to let you look at this picture for a moment and see how disgusting and gross it is. Try and find your favorite example of cruelty. Oh, do you like the baby? Yeah. How about that guy who has a head that he's going to save for dessert, but meanwhile he's just going to eat that arm?
There you go.
Is this the Aztecs? Body parts being sold. They're roasting that baby. Delicious. They're carving that guy out. He's having a feast.
What is the guy in the foreground holding? That giant metal thing?
Yeah, it's an anchor. So this photo represents specifically Spanish cruelty. It was called the Black Legend. Did the Spanish kill Native Americans as they were conquering parts of Central and South America? Uh-huh. But I don't think it was at this level. Who would be spreading rumors about how awful the Spanish were in order to maybe make their position a little better? Very good. England. The Black Legend had grains of truth to it. Were the Spanish cruel? Yeah. Did they wipe out the Aztec? Uh-huh. But I seriously doubt that anybody had a head in one hand and an arm in the other. I think that's my favorite.
Are they crucifying that guy back there? Or what are they doing? That's like a guy under a.
It's an anchor.
Oh, that's an anchor. They just. I'm so confused.
It's all right.
Okay.
The Black legend had grains of truth about cruelty, probably exaggerated by the English who spread lies about how cruel the Spanish were in order to bring them down and maybe improve their position. There's something else that's sort of interesting. I am now introducing to you the fact that England is now kind of a play-up. And there's going to be a major difference between how the Spanish approach colonization versus how the English approach colonization. The Spanish believed in intermarriage and cultural incorporation. The English did not. Does anyone know what those two things are?
They marry like native Americans.
Right? They blended with the culture. This would suggest to you, shouldn't it suggest to you that maybe the Spanish weren't this? I mean, if they're this, how could they possibly intermarry? It doesn't jive. But the Spanish blended. They married, they had kids, they lived there. They did not push the natives out. I mean, just to some extent they did, but not like the English did. To the English, as we approach, you retreat. As we approach, you retreat. We are not going to mix with you. We are English, you are not. We, they. Whereas with the Spanish, it was not. But
If they're gonna like believe in intermarriage and like culture,
Spanish.
yeah, and culture of incorporation and stuff, why obliterate the Aztecs? Like they didn't do anything.
So, well, again, I may have failed to teach you this in the 2 previous days. Cortez did not wipe out the Aztec. He wiped out the Aztec infrastructure, not the people. The hierarchy, the government structure is what Cortez wiped out. Again, maybe I failed to mention this. Sorry. Not all Aztec practiced human sacrifice. The hierarchy did. Most Aztec didn't like it, but they're not in control, right? Okay. All right.
Just a small box thing.
One example, by the way, I am now showing you, maybe this occurred to you, maybe it didn't. I am now showing you a piece of evidence that you could use to refute the claim that the Spanish were cruel. If they were so cruel, then how could they possibly believe in these two things? It doesn't make sense. You could use that to refute the claim made by Zinn in that document, if you want it. Okay. Second refutation is a guy by the name of Bartholomew de las Casas. He was a priest. He traveled with Columbus. And he criticized the way that the Spanish were treating the natives. He criticized the encomienda system. But again, that seems to suggest that not all Spanish were cruel. That there were some who said, this is wrong. What we're doing is wrong. Any questions there? Great picture. Yes?
So is the purpose of that essay to argue that Columbus sucks or that all the Spanish sucks? Because like
The purpose of the essay is for you to choose which historian's version is the more valid version. Zinn claims that Columbus, and by extent, the Spanish, were cruel. And there's evidence to suggest that's true. But there's also evidence to suggest, well, wait a minute, maybe not. I mean, were there examples of cruelty? Yes, but generally they weren't as bad as this. This is an exaggeration. We have one slide left, and then we'll. So I am now showing you some of England's and also France, some of their players, some of their explorers. Spain has already sent Columbus and the conquistador guy. What's his name?
Cortez?
Cortez. And Portugal has already sent Diaz and Vasco da Gama. Well, let's meet some of these sailors for England. His name was John Cabot. Actually, his name was not John Cabot. It's Johann Cahoto. You will learn something about England in this class. if they can't pronounce your name, they just change it. Right? So Johann Caboto goes to England and says, I'll sail for you. And King Henry's like, what's your name? Johann Caboto. Nuni. Johann Caboto. John. Later on, we'll meet it. Indian, the English could not say his name, so they called him Bill. Right? England. All right. So what did he do? He sailed from England and explored the east coast of what is today the United States. And that's why you and I speak English. There's the reason. Because he explored and stuck the old flagpole in, which started the English colonies. France is also a player. His name is Verrazano, French. So the French are going to be a player. Anyone ever been to Canada? It's the country to the north. You've been to Canada? Were you in Quebec? Does anyone know where Quebec is? Yes.
It's in Canada.
It's in Canada. So you know what language they speak in Quebec?
French.
French. And now you know why. The French are a player. And then we'll meet one more. His name is Cartier. And he's also the reason why the French are a player. He sails for the French, and you can see he goes here, and then there, and then Jacques Cartier. French. We now have 4 players. Right? Portugal, Spain, England, France. There's going to be a reckoning, right? There's going to be a reckoning. This is the beginning of this thing called the Age of Empire, which I believe is also a game, is it not? The Age of Empire, when European nations competed for global domination. This started at around 1492, right? That's the beginning of the Age of Empire. The end of what is considered the Age of Empire, the wars dictating empires, was World War I. That's when finally the Europeans settled it. All right, this is it. So, and World War I was 1918. So from 1492 to 1918, European nations would engage in wars against each other over control of Africa and parts of Asia and parts of the Americas. And finally, it ended with World War I. Okay, any questions here? That's enough note-taking for now. Let's attack a document or 2 or 3 or 100 or 1,000. So we're looking at this, which I remind you, you should mark up violently. Anyone else? Anyone else need a copy? No judgment. If you need another copy, you need another copy. We are on document 2. Let's attack document 2 and maybe 3, and then we're going to switch gears here. All right, who had document 2? You 2 had document 2. Only you 2. You 3 had document 2. Okay. So let me just ask you a series of questions, and then the rest of us will just be kind of jotting down ideas. Who's the writer of document 2? Zin. Okay. Ian. Zin. Hooray Columbus or boo his Columbus? Why? Why? I have to say why twice. It's a rule. It's in my contract. Okay, you're being too specific. Why boo his Columbus? He's bad. Columbus is a meanie. Now again, I challenge you. Try and say that a little bit more scholarly than that. And now, prove it. Prove it with the document evidence. What made him bad?
You guys capture the natives and be like, "Where's the money? I want all the gold. Give it to me." Like we'd interrogate
Yeah, you're right.
them.
Very good. Columbus wrote, "As soon as I arrived in the Indies." Now, when it says Indies here, it's not India. The Indies is the Caribbean, Cuba, Hispaniola, those islands. On the first island which I found, I took some of the natives by force. What a friendly guy! In order that they might learn and might give me information to whatever it is there is in these parts. So what do they? When it says in order that they might learn, what do they need to learn?
English or Spanish.
They need to learn Spanish.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you exactly?
They need to learn to tell them where the money is, and not they're the boss.
I'm in control. That's what they need to learn. And that they might give me information of whatever there is in these parts. And Zinn goes on to write the information that Columbus wanted most was, where's the gold? Where's the gold? At this time, early 1500s, late 1400s, gold is what the measurement was as far as power. Whoever had the most gold, you were the most powerful. And so he wanted the gold. Okay. Your job is to now prove it. Prove that he was cruel. Prove that he wanted gold. That's a good one. Prove that Columbus was just in it for the money. Prove it. Okay. Now, again, invite you to the possibility. Let's say you like document 2. You think that's a pretty good document. Maybe there's information in the third document that you could use as historical evidence for the second document. Awesome. Let's see if that's true. Who had the third document? Who read the third document? You. How is that possible? Okay. Did you read it?
Mm-hmm.
Who wrote it?
Zinn?
And what is Zinn's opinion of Columbus? Hooray or boo?
Boo.
Why?
Because it says that Columbus basically stole the 10,000 for life, 10,000
You're
of
being
the,
too specific.
he want money.
He greedy. He's a greedy person. Columbus was greedy. Now, what's the evidence?
The evidence is that, so basically the king and queen of Spain offered 10,000 of their currency, which was called maravides,
Okay, fine.
whatever, for the rest of their life to whoever spotted land first. And someone during the night by the name of Rodrigo saw it first, but in the morning Columbus was like, well, no, Rodrigo saw it in the morning, and then Columbus comes out and he's like, I saw it last night, and he got the money.
Right. So imagine this. Imagine if tonight's football game, the ref does not show up. So Bruce Larson says, well, we need a ref, and I'm in the stands, and I'll say, well, I'll ref. And Bruce Larson says, all right. So I put on my ref uniform. I am now the ref. And the central coach is like, what? No, no. And too late. I'm the ref. So I blow the whistle and I say, all right, automatic touchdown Somerset. And Somerset wins the game, like 90-0. Right? Is that fair? No, probably not. That'd be great. That'd be fun. But probably not fair. That's what happened here. Right? So there was a reward. 10,000, whatever it is that the Spanish used back then. 10,000 to whoever spots land first. And Columbus was the one that decided who won. And Columbus awarded the 10,000 to Columbus. Columbus saw the land first. That is a greedy person. Any questions there?
So if you were using document 3 instead of document 2, could you use document 2 as evidence to prove that point as well? Like that he was greedy?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. How are we doing? Let's see what Schweikert and Allen have to say. All we've heard so far is how bad Columbus is. He's kind of an idiot. He's greedy. He's cruel. Can we at least see what Schweikert and Allen have to say as a point of comparison? So let's try the fourth document here. So anyone read it? Anyone read the document, Schweikert and Allen, page 3, document 4? No. Okay. Oh, you read it. Okay. Who wrote it? Schweikert and Allen. Remember, it's with a T there. And did you get a sense of their feeling about Columbus? They thought thumbs up, right? Why? What about him was good? Yeah, I mean, he was. I would call him brave. No, this is a guy who got in a boat and sailed across the ocean. Right? No one had done that before. Brave. That takes guts, man. Right? You get in a spaceship, you fly to the moon. That's brave. Right? I don't like going on Wild Thing at Valley Fair. You put me in a spaceship? What are you, nuts? I could die. Yeah. Columbus did it, right? Let me read it. The prize for which the Portuguese explorers had risked so much now seemed small in comparison to that discovered by their rivals the Spanish under the bold seamanship of Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus. Bold. The guy's bold. Let's see. Where am I saying? A man the king of Portugal had once refused to fund. Columbus embodied the best of the new generation of navigators. Resilient, courageous, confident. To be sure, Columbus wanted glory, and a motivation born of desperation fueled his vision. The guy was brave. Now, can you prove that? What time is this class? What?
Give another model.
Oh, great. Plenty of time. Okay. Can you prove it? Can you prove that Columbus was brave? Or can you at least prove that the claim that he was brave appears to have some validity? What might you pursue as evidence? I mean, this seems like an obvious one. He's the one. He sailed across the Atlantic. He's the guy. He went where no one went before. The guy's a trailblazer. Others followed him. You could also argue that it's because of Columbus that you and I are here, in a way, right? I mean, what he did changed world history, in a way, right? So you got to give the guy some props here. So prove it. Okay, any questions? That's enough documents. Let's shift gears. I am going to give to you this piece of paper. Actually, you are. One each.
For everybody.
Everybody. And you are going to give everybody this piece of paper. And you are going to hand out. If you have highlighters, awesome. If you don't, here are a bunchy bunch. You need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need 5 different highlighters, 5 different colors. 5 different colors. Or you could always grab like 3 highlighters and then use a pencil and a pen or something. 5 ways of dictating. Hopefully I have somewhere near them.
Father, is this mostly an American history class then?
Okay, there's a whole lot of yellow left. I have given you, are there any extras? Oh, it's still there. You now have a half sheet of paper that looks like Zeus and a full sheet of paper that looks like that. Take your highlighters and I want you to highlight numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 different colors. Skip one. Skip one. What?
No, we only need 5 because we're not doing number 1.
Skip one. Do 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 with different colors. Okay. Yeah. Highlight this. Highlight this one. I have not told you to even look at this one yet. Highlight this one. Highlight this one. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 with a different color highlighter.
Okay.
Each. Okay. My friends, you will learn how to write paragraphs like this for this class. And I invite you to keep writing like this in future classes in college for the ACT writing portion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is how you write paragraphs for this class for the body of your paper. Not the intro and not the conclusion, but the part that's going to ask you to provide evidence, document evidence and historical evidence. The first thing you do in the paragraph is you make a claim. Zinn believed that Columbus was cruel. That's a claim. Okay. The second thing you do is provide document evidence. How do you know that Zinn made that claim? How do you know that? Well, because it's in this document here. Where'd the documents go? It's in this document right here, okay? So if it's a sentence or two referring to document evidence, then that would be number 2, and that's what you have to do. You have to prove that the topic sentence is true. My topic sentence is, Zinn believed that Columbus was cruel. How do I know that? Because it's right here in document number 1. So you got to prove the document evidence. That's what this is. And then number 3, you have to prove that the document evidence is true. So look at that. 3 proves 2 and 2 proves 1. 1 is proven by 2 and 2 is proven by 3. I need to prove that there appears to be validity to the claim that Zinn is making. And where do you find that? You find it in your book, on Google, and another document that's not being used by you for document evidence, wherever. Okay, that's number 3. What you do in number 4 is you tell me why this document evidence proves that Zinn believed Columbus was cruel. This is your analysis. This is where you say this is why it's important. This is what it shows. This is what it proves. It's your own perspective. This is where you connect the document evidence with the historical evidence. See, him chopping off limbs proves that he was cruel. That's the connection. If you don't make that connection, I won't know if you know the connection. And you won't know that I know that you know the connection. And you won't even know that I know that you know that I know that you know the connection. Think about this. You won't even know that I know that you know that I know that you know that I know that you know the connection. And how about, now number 5 is sort of interesting. What if you don't buy it? What if you think Schweikert and Allen are right? Then you have to say, but Zinn is wrong. You see, you prove it, and then you refute it. How are you going to refute it? With another piece of historical evidence that refutes it. It might appear that Columbus was cruel, however, and then you talk about evidence to suggest maybe moments of cruelty. I mean, are you mean? Are you mean? Lauren, are you mean? Have you ever been mean? Okay, but you're not mean. There are moments of meanness. We all, right? I like to think I'm not a criminal, but I've sped a few times. That would seem to indicate criminal-like tendencies, but I'm not a criminal. As far as you know. Columbus, you could argue that yes, there were moments of cruelty, but the guy wasn't cruel and prove it. Okay? And then finally, something called synthesis, which we'll revisit later. Okay? Your job, don't worry about being wrong here, is to take this. This is a paragraph about our favorite 2 Italian restaurants. And I want you to match. I want you to highlight this paragraph according to this little spreadsheet. Skip the topic sentence. If it's document evidence, highlight it in whatever it is you chose for number 2. If it's historical evidence, highlight in whatever it is you chose for number 3. If it's you making a connection, then it's number 4. And if it's ultimately saying, however, this is incorrect, then it's number 5. And then whatever's left might be number 6. All right? Give it a shot. Don't worry about if you're wrong. I will stop.
Do that for every paragraph? No. We only do that once in paper?
Say your question.
So I found historical evidence, I think, historical evidence. It was basically this document of flowers and flowers and plants that prove that Columbus wasn't the first to reach America, because there were plants native to America that were in India.
So you would refute the claim that Columbus was the first to America?
Yes, but is that
Where is the claim being made that he was the first to America? That might be evidence to refute Schweikert and Allen,
Okay,
that he wasn't this ultimately historical figure.
okay.
There were others. Map out, and then it says map out argues. Seeing what simply summarizing the map out. That's not historical evidence.
This is it because this is true.
Yeah, okay.
Some of you are tempted to call me over and say, hey, is this document evidence? I don't want to answer that. Just give it a shot yourself. Who cares? Allow me to give you a slight clue, which might help you as you are reading this paragraph. It's not an accident that this is in the order that it is. That's not a coincidence. Your highlighting should probably closely match that little half sheet.
I just did it in a rainbow.
I don't know where evidence stops.
Was I supposed to highlight the whole page because I just did little words?
There's no right or wrong way.
I was going by.
I'll give you another minute.
I mean, I guess the first one don't.
I'm so happy that I get paid today. I'm gonna have freaking money again. And like a
What are you gonna
whole
do with it?
go to Chipotle. Buy some paints.
All right. Whether you're done or not, don't worry about it. Let's just start tackling this. I will say, though, there are some sentences in here that could go one way or the other, and that's okay. This isn't math class. 2 + 2 is definitely 4 in math class. But in here, 2 + 2 is what I'll call 4-ish. Okay? So it's sort of the same thing here. So let's just see. So I've got my half sheet next to me, and I've been given a clue that I probably should be seeing a claim pretty quickly. Let me read the first sentence. Some people argue that Pepper's atmosphere makes it a great restaurant, but Pepper's atmosphere leaves a lot to be desired. What is that? That's the topic sentence, right? I'm making a claim. I'm claiming that some people think Pepper's atmosphere is pretty good, but it isn't really. I want you to think for a second about how that might apply to your Zinn versus Schweikert and Allen essay. Zinn thinks he's awful. Schweikert and Allen think he's great. So you might argue something like this might be something of a topic sentence that you might use. Some people believe that Columbus was a brutal dictator, comma, but evidence would suggest that he really isn't as bad as portrayed. You see, I'm showing you that there seems to be evidence that he's awful, but ultimately I'm going to argue that he isn't. That could be, or the other way around. Okay, so let's keep going. Walter Matthau, a food critic who works for the St. Paul Pioneer Press, points out that the decor of Peppers is pleasant and inviting. What'd you do with that one? It's document evidence. It's talking about some guy. Let's keep reading the next sentence. Matthau argues that the location of the restaurant puts anyone in close range of all that the Twin Cities might have to offer. Matthau, page 5. What is that? It's still document evidence. It is still document evidence. I'm still telling you what Matthau is claiming. The little clue is the footnote. There's a footnote which tells you, where did I get this information? From a document. It's from a document, it's document evidence. Right? Let's keep going. The decor of Peppers is subtle. I'll keep going. Each booth has a painting of an Italian scene, whether it's the Duomo in Florence or the spires of St. Peter's in Rome. Soft music plays in the background, and the lighting is just dim enough to soften the edges of a long day. The location, Woodbury, does put Peppers in the general vicinity of major events in the metro area. What is all that? It's historical evidence which proves that the claim that Peppers is a nice place appears to have validity. I am first going to prove, maybe they might think they have a point. That is all historical evidence. And then the next word, however. Oh, gut punch! What I'm telling you is don't buy it. Don't buy all this stuff. It appears true, but it isn't, because I'm about to refute it, right? So it says here, however, Matthau is wrong to suggest that Pepper's atmosphere and location make it an ideal restaurant, right? I'm appearing to throw my own 2 cents in, my own thought. What is that? It's analysis, right? My 2 cents. I'm throwing my thinking in here. I'm throwing my judgment in. Okay. It gets a little blurry, right? The historical evidence seems to have a little bit of my thought in it too, and then I'm saying, however, this is wrong. That's my 2 cents, so it's my own thinking too. And then what do I do here? I say, however, Matthew is wrong to say this, that Peppers' atmosphere makes it an ideal restaurant. And I keep going. If a family were in Los Angeles for a Disney World vacation, that family would be silly to go to a suburb to eat at a restaurant when there are plenty of good choices right next to the theme park. What did I just do there? No, it's not synthesis. Well, kind of. I mean, it is kind of synthesis, actually. That's kind of brilliant that you just said that. But what am I doing? I'm refuting. I'm providing refutation evidence. Trying to argue that Woodbury is an ideal location ignores the fact that there are other restaurant choices much, much closer to Twin Cities venues, including downtown venues. I just refuted it, the claim. I've refuted the claim. Believe me, right now, if you're thinking, I don't get it, relax. You'll be fine. We'll keep hammering away at this. The basic point is, do you at least sort of understand that the basic format, when you're arguing either Zitter, Schweigert, and Allen, whichever one you're going to disagree with, you got to claim that they're making a claim about Columbus. You need to prove that they're making the claim with document evidence. You then need to prove the document evidence is true with historical evidence. And then you need to refute that historical evidence with another piece of historical evidence. You get that? Mission accomplished. Have a great day.
So, how many you need 4 documents and how many?
Oh my God.
So you're gonna take me out?
Yes, I'll take the highlighters back. That would be wonderful.